and walked from there to the mosque for the first, I think, year or so. He continued to walk, to the mosque every day, 5 times a day. And you could not see in his garb or in the way of his mannerism any changes. Yet he had all that authority. And so we find this also in the Khilafat of Hazrat Umar and the other Khulafa as well, that they became so powerful. I mean, in the time of Hazrat Umar, for example, the Muslim empire stretched from one corner to the other. The Roman Empire came under his sway. The Persian Empire came under his sway. But when he used to go with sometimes a slave or a servant, sometimes he was riding, sometimes the servant was riding, all because he wanted to ensure there was equality. And he continued with his simplicity of life.
I was always very moved as a child when I was in Pakistan, Kashmir. A story they used to read to me of Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Anhu when he used to go out. Imam Sahib, perhaps you could expand on that story in terms of the interest in the welfare of the people, how he used to go in disguise to find out what was going on.
I think it's a long story, but to cut it short, it was the practice of Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu that he used to go out in the streets of Medina in the darkness of night. And he actually wanted to find out himself directly how the people are living. And once he heard a cry of a child from a house at almost the midnight. And then he stood there for a while, maybe something is going to be done and the child is going to go to sleep. But it didn't happen. So it went on, and finally he knocked at the door. And he asked, what's the reason, why the child is crying? There was a lady, she told that there is nothing to eat. And that's why, the child is crying because of hunger. She doesn't go to sleep. Hazrat Umar asked that, why don't you cook something for him? The lady said, there is nothing to cook. But I am just, I am putting some fire into the cooking area. And there is a pot in which I have put some stones. I am just pretending as if I am cooking the food. But actually there is nothing to cook. Because we have not been provided enough to live on. So when Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu listened to this one, he was so much shocked that is this the condition under my rule, under my, in my caliphate, there are some people who are going hungry, even the childs are crying, there is no food available. He immediately came back to his Baitul Mal, as it is called, where all the provisions are kept. So he immediately asked the door should be open in the middle of the night, opened, there was a worker there. He, packed up one big sack with a lot of edibles and food in it, and it became very heavy. Hazrat Umar wanted to, carry it on his back. The servant, the worker there, he said, "Oh Khalifa, please help me, allow me that I can carry it for you." Look at the reply what Hazrat Umar gave at that time, and that's, I think, to be such a moving thing. He said, well, you may carry this burden, this load in my life, but who is going to carry my burden on the day of judgment?
That's a very inspiring.
He said, it's my duty, and he himself carried and gave the whole thing to the lady that now you prepare the food. So that was the way, in which the caliphs, all of them as a matter of fact, it's not only about Hazrat Umar or, whenever a caliph is appointed by Allah Almighty, they are always so compassionate and kind to each and every member of the community and look after their needs, that they are actually the one to whom all the people always look for help, and whenever they are in need, they always write to him or speak to him.
On Hazrat Umar, for example, Gibbon, who is not very complimentary of Islam itself, even he writes that he used to live such a simple life, and especially when from the Byzantium Roman side some senior person, diplomat, came to see him, found him asleep on the steps of the mosque. Could not differentiate between him and anyone else. Indeed. And at that time, Islam had expanded to a certain extent, as Akram Sahib mentioned, to a wider region. So it's quite, again, something for everyone to
Hazrat Umar was also, if I can add, Hazrat Umar was also very much in regards to the social issues of the community. And not only of the Muslims, but those who were outside Islam as well. He was instrumental, actually, the old age pension we have system here. he was the one who actually, perhaps in history we could